Before you go, let me leave you with this, and I want you to carry it with you, not just remember it. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were never meant to fit into every space. You were never meant to move through this world unnoticed by Allah. If your path feels quieter than others, it is because Allah is walking closer to you than you realize. If your circle feels smaller, it is because He is protecting your heart from what cannot walk with you into who you are becoming. And if your life feels heavier, it is not because you are being burdened. It is because you are being trusted. So do not rush this season. Do not envy another person's pace. Do not doubt what Allah is shaping inside you in the unseen. Walk gently. Trust deeply. Remember often, because long after voices fade and moments pass, what you are becoming in the sight of Allah will remain. And if this message stayed with you longer than you expected, let it be a quiet sign. You were meant to hear it. If you feel like your life has been getting quieter instead of louder, if you feel like people are drifting instead of gathering around you, if you feel like Allah is pulling you inward instead of pushing you outward, then listen carefully. You are not being left behind. You are being separated for something ahead. There is a kind of person Allah does not build in public. There is a kind of strength He does not grow in crowds. And if this message reached you tonight, it is because you are becoming one of them. You were called before you were created. Let me stay here with you for a moment, because this truth is not meant to be rushed. It is meant to be felt. Before your lungs ever filled with air, before your eyes ever opened to light, before your name was ever spoken by a human voice, Allah already knew you completely. Not just that you would exist, but who you would be, what you would struggle with, what you would love, what would test your patience, and what would strengthen your faith. Your life did not begin as a random event in time. It began as an intention in the knowledge of Allah. When you entered this world, you did not arrive empty. You arrived carrying a purpose, even if you have not yet discovered what it looks like. Just like a seed carries a tree inside it before anyone can see it, your soul carries something within it that is meant to grow over the course of your life. Think about how specific your story is. You were born into a certain family, not another. You grew up in a certain place, not somewhere else. You faced certain challenges, not different ones. You were given certain abilities, not all abilities. None of this is accidental. If even one detail of your beginning had been different, you would not be the same person you are right now. Allah shaped your path carefully, because the person you are becoming requires this exact road. Not an easier one, not a harder one, but this one. This is why your heart often feels like it is searching for something deeper than what people around you seem to be chasing. You may notice that you cannot be satisfied with just getting through the day, just earning, just being entertained, just following routines. There is a quiet question inside you that keeps asking, what is all of this for? That question itself is a sign. It is the echo of the purpose that was placed inside you before you ever arrived here. Sometimes you look at parts of your life and wish they were different. You may wish your past had been easier, your family more understanding, your opportunities greater, or your struggles lighter. But what you do not see yet is how each of those things has shaped your heart in a way comfort never could. Difficulty teaches you awareness. Delay teaches you patience. Loss teaches you what truly matters. Confusion teaches you to turn back to Allah instead of relying only on yourself. You were not shaped to simply move with the flow of the world. You were shaped to move with meaning, to pause when others rush, to reflect when others ignore, to remember Allah when others forget. Even if right now you do not know exactly what you are meant to do, who you are meant to help, or where your life is meant to lead, trust this much. You were not created without a reason. Your existence is not a coincidence. Your breath is not wasted. Your heart is not empty. You were called into this life because there is something only you can carry, only you can learn, and only you can offer in the way Allah designed you to. And understanding that is the first step to realizing just how powerful your presence truly is. Allah hid you to protect what He is building. Let me take you gently into this, because this lesson touches a place in your heart that often feels misunderstood. There are seasons in your life when everything feels quieter than it used to be. Fewer messages on your phone, fewer invitations, fewer people asking how you are, fewer moments where you feel seen or celebrated, and in those moments it is easy to think, why am I being left behind? Why does it feel like the world is moving forward without me? But listen carefully. What if this is not abandonment? What if this is protection? When something is fragile, you do not place it in the middle of a crowded room. You move it somewhere safe. When something is valuable, you do not leave it in open hands. You cover it, you guard it. You keep it away from carelessness. Allah does the same with hearts. There are parts of you that are still forming. There are layers of understanding, patience, strength, and trust in Allah that cannot grow in noisy spaces. They require quiet. They require space. They require moments where you are not performing for anyone, explaining yourself to anyone, or trying to prove anything to anyone. So Allah sometimes pulls you back from the crowd, not because you do not belong, but because you are becoming. In these hidden seasons, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. You start to notice what truly motivates you and what you were only doing for approval. You begin to see which prayers you make when no one else knows you are struggling. You discover whether you turn to Allah when things feel heavy or only when things feel easy. This is where your relationship with Him deepens. In public moments, it is easy to look faithful. In private moments, you learn what faith actually means. You may feel like your life has slowed down, while others seem to be moving ahead. You may watch people reach goals, form connections, and step into opportunities while you feel like you are standing still. But stillness does not mean stagnation. Sometimes it means roots are growing. A tree that grows too fast above the ground, without growing deep below it, will fall the first time a strong wind comes. Allah does not rush the growth of a heart that He intends to make strong. He allows it to grow deep before He allows it to grow wide. This is also where your dependence begins to shift. When life is busy and full, it is easy to rely on people, routines, and distractions. But when things quiet down, you start to realize how much you truly need Allah. You begin to speak to Him more honestly, not just in formal words, but in real thoughts, real fears, and real hopes. And in that honesty, something changes inside you. You stop chasing being seen. You stop needing constant validation. You stop measuring your worth by how many people notice your presence. You begin to measure your life by something deeper, whether your heart feels closer to Allah than it did before. So, if you are in a season where you feel hidden, remember this. Allah does not hide things that are useless. He hides things that are being prepared. He hides things that are not ready for careless eyes. He hides things that will one day stand with strength, clarity, and purpose. And when the time comes for you to be seen, you will not rise fragile. You will rise grounded. You will rise steady. You will rise carrying something inside you that was built in the quiet, protected by Allah, and strengthened in ways no crowd could ever give you. Your presence reveals, even when you are silent. Let me speak to the part of you that feels different in rooms, even when you say nothing. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you can walk into a place and the atmosphere feels like it shifts, even though you did not raise your voice, make a statement, or draw attention to yourself? Conversations slow down. People become more aware of how they are speaking. Some feel drawn to you, and some feel uneasy without fully understanding why. This is not about personality, this is about presence. A heart that remembers Allah carries a kind of weight that cannot be hidden. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need to prove anything. It simply exists, and in existing, it reveals. Your calm reveals chaos. Your patience reveals haste. Your sincerity reveals performance. Your restraint reveals excess. You become a mirror, not because you are trying to reflect people back to themselves, but because your way of being quietly highlights the difference between depth and distraction. This is why not everyone reacts to you the same way. Some people feel safe around you. They feel heard without being interrogated. They feel understood without being judged. They feel like they can slow down because something in you gives them permission to breathe. These are the hearts that are open, the ones that are searching, even if they do not know what they are searching for yet. But others feel uncomfortable, not because you are harsh, not because you are critical, but because your presence touches something inside them that they have been avoiding. It reminds them of intentions they left behind, prayers they stopped making, values they compromised, or questions they never wanted to answer. And when that happens, people often respond in one of two ways. They either move closer to what reminds them of truth, or they move away from it. This is why sometimes you feel misunderstood, even when you are kind. This is why you may sense distance from people you never hurt. This is why certain spaces that once felt comfortable begin to feel tight. It is not always because you changed outwardly. It is because you grew inwardly. As your connection with Allah deepens, your tolerance for emptiness decreases. You may still smile, still listen, still care, but inside, you no longer feel at home in conversations that revolve only around gossip, status, or distractions. Your heart quietly searches for meaning, even in simple moments. And that search becomes visible even in silence. Let me tell you something important here. Do not shrink this part of yourself. It is tempting to dull your presence so others feel more comfortable, to laugh at things that do not sit right with you, to stay silent when something feels wrong, to pretend depth does not matter just to fit in. But Allah did not give you a heart that recognizes truth, so you could train it to ignore it. Your presence is not meant to blend into every environment. It is meant to bring something into the environment that was not there before. Sometimes that is peace. Sometimes that is awareness. Sometimes that is a quiet reminder that this life is bigger than what is being talked about in that moment. You may never know how many times someone left a room thinking differently because you were there. How many hearts felt calmer because of your tone. How many people questioned their choices because they saw the way you held yours. But Allah knows, and that is enough. So when you feel like you stand out without trying, do not see it as a burden. See it as a trust. Allah has placed something in your presence that goes beyond words. Something that works quietly, slowly, and deeply in the hearts of those around you. And even in your silence, even in your stillness, even in moments where you feel unnoticed, you are revealing more than you realize. The heaviness you feel is the weight of awareness. Let me speak to the part of you that feels full inside, even when nothing around you seems heavy. There are moments when you sit quietly and feel a pressure in your chest that you cannot name. It is not exactly sadness. It is not exactly fear. It is something deeper, something that feels like your heart is carrying more than just today's problems. You go through your routine, you talk to people, you move through the world, but inside there is a layer of thought and feeling that never really switches off. This is not a flaw in you. This is awareness. Most people move through life on the surface. They react to what is in front of them, chase what feels good in the moment, and avoid what feels uncomfortable. Their hearts stay light because they do not stay long with deeper questions. They do not sit with the reality of how temporary this life is. They do not reflect often on where they are going, what they are becoming, or what their choices are shaping. But you do. You notice how quickly moments pass. You notice how easily people change. You notice how fragile plans are. You notice how little control any of us truly have. And that noticing changes you. It slows you down in a world that rushes. It makes you careful in a world that acts quickly. It makes you gentle in a world that often hardens itself to survive. This is why your heart feels heavier. A heart that is awake cannot move through the world the same way a heart that is asleep does. You begin to feel the weight of words before you speak them. You think about the impact of your actions before you take them. You wonder about the state of your heart, not just the state of your life. You ask yourself not only, is this good for me, but is this pleasing to Allah? That question alone carries weight. Sometimes this awareness makes you feel tired in ways that rest does not fix. You can sleep, but your mind still reflects. You can laugh, but your heart still feels thoughtful. You can be surrounded by people, but you still feel like you are carrying something alone. Let me tell you something important here. You are not carrying it alone. Allah allowed you to see more because He trusts you with more. A heart that feels deeply is a heart that can be trusted with responsibility. A mind that reflects is a mind that can recognize guidance. A soul that questions is a soul that is searching for truth, not just comfort. This is why you may feel out of place sometimes. In conversations that stay on the surface, you feel like you are standing at the edge of something deeper that no one else wants to step into. In moments of distraction, you feel a quiet pull toward meaning. In times of ease, you still feel the presence of Allah in the background of your thoughts, and that presence changes everything. But here is the part you need to understand clearly. Awareness is not meant to turn you into someone who feels burdened all the time. It is meant to turn you into someone who lives with intention. When you realize how temporary life is, you stop wasting it on things that do not matter. When you realize how fragile hearts are, you become more careful with how you treat people. When you realize how close Allah truly is, you become more honest in how you speak to Him. So when you feel this heaviness, do not fight it. Do not try to drown it out with constant noise, constant entertainment, or constant movement. Sit with it sometimes. Let it guide you back to prayer, back to reflection, back to gratitude, back to remembering why you are really here. Because this weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to shape you. It is shaping you into someone who does not just exist in this world, but moves through it with purpose, with care, and with a heart that knows it will one day return to the one who made it. And that kind of heart will always feel more, not because it is weak, but because it is awake. Allah removes what cannot follow you forward. Let me speak to the part of you that feels confused when people, places, and even dreams begin to fall away from your life. There are moments when you look around and realize that what once felt close now feels distant. Conversations that used to flow now feel forced. Relationships that once gave you comfort now leave you feeling empty. Spaces that once felt like home now feel unfamiliar. And in those moments, your heart may quietly ask, "What did I do wrong?" But let me offer you a different question. What if nothing went wrong? What if something moved forward? Growth does not always announce itself with celebration. Sometimes it announces itself with separation. When Allah begins to shape you into a new version of yourself, He often begins by changing what surrounds you, not as a punishment, not as a loss, but as a form of guidance. Think about how a child outgrows clothes. The clothes did not become bad. They simply no longer fit. In the same way, there are people, habits, and environments that fit the earlier chapters of your life, but they cannot fit the person you are becoming now. If they stayed, they would pull you backward when Allah is calling you forward. This is why some connections fade without a clear reason. There is no argument, no betrayal, no dramatic ending, just a quiet drifting apart. And that can be one of the hardest kinds of pain, because you cannot point to a moment and say, "This is when it broke." You only know that it is no longer the same. But sometimes what breaks is not the relationship. It is the version of you that needed it. Allah does not remove lightly, He removes with wisdom. He sees what you are attached to, and He sees where you are meant to go. And if something in your life cannot survive the next stage of your journey, He begins to loosen your grip on it, even if your heart still wants to hold on. This is where trust is tested. You may find yourself praying, "Ya Allah, bring this back. Fix this. Make it like it was before." And sometimes Allah's answer is not to restore the old, but to prepare you for something new that the old could never make space for. Let me tell you something gently. Not every door that closes is meant to be reopened. Some are meant to teach you how to walk through a different one. There are lessons you only learn from being left. Strength you only discover when support disappears. Dependence on Allah you only develop when what you depended on before is no longer there. This does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become cold. It means you become anchored somewhere deeper than people and circumstances. As things are removed from your life, you may notice something else happening quietly inside you. You begin to rely more on Allah. You begin to speak to Him more honestly. You begin to look to Him for stability instead of looking to people. And in that shift, your heart finds a different kind of strength. A strength that does not rise and fall with who stays or who leaves. A strength that is built on the one who never leaves. So when you feel something being taken away from your life, pause before you call it a loss. Ask yourself, what is Allah protecting me from? What is He preparing me for? What space is He making in my heart, my time, and my path? Because sometimes the most loving thing Allah does is not giving you more. It is clearing the way, clearing the distractions, clearing the attachments, clearing the paths that lead nowhere, so that when the next chapter of your life begins, you step into it lighter, clearer, and more ready to carry what Allah is about to place in your hands. And one day, you may look back at what you thought you lost and realize something deeper. You did not lose it. You outgrew it. And Allah was guiding you forward, even when it felt like He was taking something away. You were designed to carry, not to consume. Let me speak to the part of you that feels tired in a way sleep does not fix. There is a kind of exhaustion that does not come from working too hard or moving too fast. It comes from carrying something inside you that most people never notice, let alone hold. You move through your day, you fulfill your responsibilities, you smile when you are expected to, but somewhere beneath all of that, your heart feels like it is holding weight that cannot be set down easily. This is not because you are weak. It is because you were not built to simply pass through life taking from it. Many people move through this world collecting. They collect attention, comfort, praise, experiences, and approval. They measure their days by what they gained, what they enjoyed, and what made them feel important. Their lives revolve around filling themselves. But your heart does not seem satisfied with only being filled. You feel a pull to give, even when you have little. You feel a need to steady others when things feel unstable. You notice when a room is tense, and you instinctively soften your tone. You sense when someone is struggling, even when they say they are fine. This is not something you taught yourself. This is something Allah placed within you. Some souls are designed to carry what others drop. They carry patience when others react. They carry compassion when others judge. They carry restraint when others rush. They carry remembrance of Allah in moments where He is forgotten. and carrying something always feels heavier than consuming it. This is why you may find yourself feeling drained after certain conversations, even if nothing dramatic was said. This is why certain environments leave you feeling empty, even if they are full of noise and activity. Your heart is not just participating, it is absorbing, it is holding, it is processing. Let me tell you something gently. Not everyone is meant to hold space for others. Not everyone is meant to be the calm in chaos, the steady presence in uncertainty, the quiet strength in moments of weakness. But you are. This does not mean you are meant to fix everyone. It does not mean you are meant to carry the world on your shoulders. It means that Allah has given you a heart that feels, notices, and responds in ways that go beyond self-interest. And that is a trust. But even a strong heart needs a place to rest. If you keep carrying without returning to Allah, you will feel empty. If you keep giving without refilling through prayer, reflection, and remembrance, you will feel hollow. Allah did not design you to be a source without also being a seeker. This is why your connection with Him matters so deeply. When you stand in prayer, you are not just asking for things. You are setting down what you have been carrying. You are handing your worries, your responsibilities, your unspoken concerns back to the one who gave them meaning in the first place. And in that moment, something inside you lightens. This lesson is not telling you to stop caring. It is reminding you where to place what you care about. You were not designed to consume life, chasing what makes you feel full for a moment and empty again the next day. You were designed to carry something that lasts: sincerity, patience, kindness, and awareness of Allah in a world that forgets quickly. So, when you feel tired in a way that feels deeper than the body, do not see it as a sign to harden your heart. See it as a sign to return it. Return it to the one who knows how to hold what you have been carrying. Because when you carry from Allah and you return to Allah, you do not break under the weight. You grow stronger within it. And that is a kind of power the world does not understand, but every heart that feels safe around you will recognize. Your life is a quiet message. Let me speak to you as if no one else is listening, because this lesson is not about being seen, it is about being felt. There are people in your life who may never sit down and ask you what you believe. They may never listen to a reminder. They may never open a book of guidance, but they are watching you. Not in an obvious way, in a quiet way. They notice how you respond when something does not go your way. They notice how you speak when you are tired, when you are hurt, when you feel misunderstood. They notice whether you stay honest when it would be easier to bend the truth. They notice whether you remain kind when you gain nothing from being kind. And slowly, without realizing it, they begin to learn something about Allah through you. This is why your life carries weight, even on days when it feels ordinary. A single moment of patience can become someone else's reference point for how to handle their own pain. A single moment of restraint can become someone else's reminder that it is possible to pause instead of react. A single moment of sincerity can quietly challenge someone else's way of living, even if they never say it out loud. You may never hear about these moments. You may never be thanked for them, but they matter. Let me tell you something that often goes unnoticed. The world celebrates loud influence. It celebrates the voice that reaches many, the name that spreads far, the presence that gathers attention. But Allah also values the quiet influence, the one that reaches one heart at a time, in moments no one else sees. Sometimes your role is not to change a room. Sometimes it is to change a person. And sometimes that person is you. Your struggles become part of this message too. When people see you walk through difficulty without losing your dignity, they learn something about strength. When they see you return to Allah after making a mistake, they learn something about mercy. When they see you keep going even when things feel heavy, they learn something about trust. You are teaching without teaching. You are guiding without giving directions. And that kind of guidance often goes deeper because it is not received through words, it is received through witnessing. But let me be honest with you here. This responsibility can feel heavy. There are days when you wish you could just be like everyone else, react quickly, speak freely, let go of self-control. Move through life without thinking about what your choices reflect or who they might affect. But something inside you does not allow that. Your heart pauses you. Your conscience checks you. Your awareness pulls you back. That is not a restriction. That is a trust. Allah has placed you in situations, in families, in friendships, in workplaces, and in communities, not just to live there, but to represent something there: patience, integrity, sincerity, and remembrance of Him. This does not mean you will always get it right. You will make mistakes. You will have moments you wish you handled differently. You will feel regret, and you will return to Allah, and you will try again. And even that becomes part of the message. Because people do not just learn from your strength. They also learn from your repentance. They learn from how you take responsibility, from how you apologize, from how you turn back to Allah instead of pretending you do not need Him. So, when you feel like your life is being quietly observed, do not let it make you anxious. Let it make you intentional, not perfect, just sincere. Because sincerity reaches places performance never can. And remember this: even if no one around you ever understands the role you are playing in their life, Allah does. Every choice you make for His sake, every moment you hold back when you could react, every time you choose what is right over what is easy, it is seen, recorded, and valued. Your life is speaking, even when your mouth is silent. Your presence is teaching, even when you think you are just getting through the day. And in a world that is loud, rushed, and often careless, a life that moves with intention becomes a message that cannot be ignored by the hearts that are ready to receive it. You will always feel a pull towards something more. Let me speak to the part of you that never fully settles. No matter how much you achieve, how many people care about you, or how comfortable your life becomes, there is a quiet restlessness inside you that does not disappear when things go well. You reach a goal, and for a moment you feel relief. You experience happiness, and for a moment you feel full. You find belonging, and for a moment you feel at home. But then, gently, almost softly, that same feeling returns. A sense that there is more. Not more things, not more attention, not more success, just more meaning. This is not because you are ungrateful. It is because you were not designed to be completed by this world. Allah placed a horizon inside your heart, a line you can sense but never fully reach here. No matter how far you walk in this life, that horizon stays ahead of you, quietly reminding you that what you are truly looking for does not belong to this place. This is why certain moments touch you deeply. A sunset that makes you pause. A verse of the Quran that feels like it was written just for you. A night when the world goes silent and your heart suddenly feels close to Allah. These moments do not just make you feel good. They make you feel like you are remembering something. As if your soul recognizes a home it has not yet returned to. You may notice that even love, even friendship, even success, even comfort, as beautiful as they are, still feel incomplete. They give you a taste, but not the fullness. They bring warmth, but not permanence. They bring joy, but not forever. And that is not a flaw in them. It is a reminder of what they are. Temporary gifts in a temporary world. Allah did not create you to attach your heart completely to what will fade. He created you to walk through this life with gratitude, but not with dependence, to enjoy what He gives, but to remember who gave it. This is why disappointment often becomes a teacher in your life. When something you hoped for does not happen, when something you loved slips away, when something you relied on changes, it hurts. But beneath the pain, there is also a redirection, a quiet voice that says, "Do not build your heart here." Every loss, in its own way, loosens your grip on this world and strengthens your grip on Allah. And every moment of ease, if you pay attention, does the same. Because when things go well, you feel gratitude, and gratitude pulls your heart toward the one who gave you what you are enjoying. So, whether through hardship or through comfort, Allah is gently guiding your longing in the same direction, back to Him. This restlessness you feel is not a sign that your life is wrong. It is a sign that your destination is beyond it. Let me tell you something important here. Do not try to silence this pull with constant noise. Do not drown it in endless entertainment, endless scrolling, endless chasing of the next thing that promises to make you feel whole. You will only feel full for a moment, and then the pull will return, because it was not created to be satisfied by anything that ends. Instead, listen to it. When it rises, let it guide you to prayer instead of distraction. Let it guide you to reflection instead of escape. Let it guide you to the Quran instead of comparison. Let it guide you to Allah instead of the world. This is how that restlessness turns into peace. Not by being removed, but by being directed. You were given a heart that looks beyond what is visible, beyond what is immediate, beyond what is temporary. That is why you feel different. That is why you feel called. That is why you cannot live comfortably with a life that is only about today. You are walking through this world, but you are not meant to belong to it. You are meant to pass through it with a heart that remembers where it is truly headed. And when you finally reach that place, the place your soul has been quietly longing for all along, you will understand why nothing here ever felt like enough. Because you were never made for enough. You were made for eternity. Before you go, let me leave you with this, and I want you to carry it with you, not just remember it. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were never meant to fit into every space. You were never meant to move through this world unnoticed by Allah. If your path feels quieter than others, it is because Allah is walking closer to you than you realize. If your circle feels smaller, it is because He is protecting your heart from what cannot walk with you into who you are becoming. And if your life feels heavier, it is not because you are being burdened. It is because you are being trusted. So do not rush this season. Do not envy another person's pace. Do not doubt what Allah is shaping inside you in the unseen. Walk gently. Trust deeply. Remember often. Because long after voices fade and moments pass, what you are becoming in the sight of Allah will remain. And if this message stayed with you longer than you expected, let it be a quiet sign. You were meant to hear it.